You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. Roland Martin Unfiltered. All right, folks, glad to have you here. It is Monday, April 20th. Let's get started talking about the impact of coronavirus. Folks, here's the latest chart showing you the impact. 782,987 cases of coronavirus reported in the United States in 3 territories. 41,777 patients have died. 71,770 people are recovering from coronavirus. Now, the White House right now is holding their coronavirus briefing. As I look at it, Donald Trump is talking. We ain't taking it because you know he lying. We're not wasting our time when it comes to his constant lying. And over the weekend, he did more lying from the podium. And it shows you how despicable he is. A little bit later, I'm going to show you this killer ad that Joe Biden has dropped, slamming down Trump. But first, today, here was the update given by New York Governor Mario Cuomo.
Today is 51 days since the first case in New York, just for perspective, so we know where we are. It's 92 days since the first case came to the United States of America. It was in Seattle and in California. These are the hospitalization numbers for today. Tick down from yesterday, but a slight tick, statistically irrelevant. The question for us is, are we past the apex? We have had a number of days that have seen a reduction. The reduction is across the board. Hospitals also say anecdotally that they have less patients in their emergency room, which, again, perspective, the emergency rooms were way over capacity. It was chaotic. It was hellish. And the emergency rooms are still at or over capacity, but it's better than it was. The total change in hospitalizations, you see that it's been going down. The 3-day average of hospitalizations is going down. Number of intubations is down again. That is great news. Not down as much as yesterday, but down. Number of new people coming in the door with COVID diagnosis is, again, just about flat with yesterday.
All right, folks, that is the, again, the latest from Governor Andrew Cuomo. Now, one of the issues that we've been focusing on, what happens economically to small businesses. In the House, after the previous fund ran out of $350 billion, now they're about to move, they're very close to having a new deal. Joining us right now is Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee of Texas. Congresswoman, glad to have you on Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Glad to be with you, my brother. Thank you so very much for having me.
So, you get your mask on. Do you wear your mask all the time, even in the office?
I sure do. I believe that it's important to be a role model as well. And if I'm seen publicly, I want people to know that this is, just like Governor Cuomo said, this is hellish, and we should take it very seriously.
Now, are you here in D.C. or you're in Houston?
Recovery, and too early. We will be wearing masks inside and outside.
Absolutely. Now you in here in D.C. or are you back in Houston?
I'm in Houston en route to D.C. because, as you well know, we have not been able to have a unanimous consent. You're familiar with that language. And so we have to come back, debate, and fight, and vote so that we can get that extra crunch of money, that interim legislation to help those who could not be helped in the earlier expenditure.
Let's talk about that, because the reality is a significant number of small businesses obviously could not be able to get in. Then when you have companies like Shake Shack, they got $10 million. You had Ruth Chris Steakhouse, they got $20 million. Even though Ruth Chris is sitting on $80 million in cash, bought back stock last year, made a $42 million profit. How did the National Restaurant Association get that into the bill? How is a Ruth Chris Steakhouse a small business?
Well, you can't imagine the temperature that has gone up on every member of the Congressional Black Caucus and, frankly, every member of the Democratic Caucus. This is really work that we did with our blood, sweat, and tears. And we were focused on businesses. We realized that there are medium-sized businesses that are struggling. So the money for PPP was 500 employees and under. We know that there are when I say mom and pop, we know there are businesses that were raised up by a family and may have 500 employees at this time. But it was not intended to be abused and utilized by companies that would use individual sites as a small business. In addition, we were stunned by the concept of first come, first serve, because if you are a sole proprietor, if you are a self-employed, if you are an independent contractor, which is what the EIDL money was for, that's the disaster loan money, you were just getting the facts, while others were already putting in their application and really on the turnaround of getting their money. So the devil is in the details. We pushed for this. We wanted to make sure that our small businesses were able to maintain their employees, pay their utilities, and pay their mortgage. But we've got to turn right back around and really, the Congressional Black Caucus, working with Speaker Pelosi and the Democratic Caucus, I must say, put their foot down and have really worked now to make sure that these shenanigans don't happen. And you asked the question, it's the devil in the details, and people have to ask themselves the question, why they're taking all of this boatload of money when there's a whole cadre of small restaurants, mom and pop restaurants of all backgrounds across the nation who are now, in my own district, people who are now giving out food for free. These are not chains. These are individual restaurants and individual communities who help the community. They did not get anything. And we are determined. We're determined, Roland. We put in $250 billion, but we put in $60 billion extra for our very small businesses, now $310 billion in this bill for PPPs that would include not only our small businesses, but minority banks and small financial institutions so they can get in the fight and to help those people who have not been able to be helped.
And look, that's critical because, I have a small business. My brother, with his catering business in Houston, he's with the Houston Restaurant Association and the Greater Houston Partnership, or Houston First. And he sends me these text messages and talking about what he's seeing and what he's what he's hearing from other restaurants. And what's happening is that these banks, they're screwing people because basically if you don't have loans, if you don't owe the banks, they're frankly picking winners and losers. There are stories of people going to 6 and 7 and 8 different banks. There was one sister, had a business. She applied for a credit card at the bank. The bank turned her down, so she went and got one from Capital One. Then when she applied to the PPP program, they told her, well, you don't have a credit card or loan with us, so we're not going to process it. She was like, but I couldn't get one with y'all. And so what these banks are doing is helping the larger small businesses who have loans because they want to make sure they keep getting their loans back. And so that's also this difficult thing. So if you got a small business and you have a banking relationship with the bank, you're going like, wait a minute. So for you guys to help me, I had to have a loan with you. And so the banks are causing a serious problem. And hopefully in this new bill, that will be dealt with as well.
Well, the main thing that has to be part of this is the oversight. You know, in the big slush fund money that you're well aware of that the Secretary of Treasury has control over, we insisted that there be an IG. I frankly believe that there's going to have to be an IG on the PPP and as well a congressional oversight. We're looking at how we proceed in that, but this is going to have to be monitored. You're absolutely right. The first come, first serve was a problem. Then the banks decided to put in their own guidelines that the legislation did not require, which was have a credit card, have an account, and have a loan. How absurd. If you come with a good credit rating and you just happen not to have a loan, This is a program that is for a crisis, a hellish crisis, as has been said, a virus that no one understands, that there is no cure, there is no vaccine, and we don't know if there's an end. That means that we are standing here as the lifeline, the SOS for these businesses, for this economy, for these jobs, and that should be front and center, not specialized rules that these banks are doing. When we bailed them out in 07, 08, 09, we bailed them out. And that money did not come with all kinds of restraints, unfortunately. So now I think we have to put them on notice. This is not acceptable. But what I will say is that thanks to the Congressional Black Caucus, Chairwoman Waters, and people fighting that some of the smaller institutions will be included, some of the minority banks, which, by the way, are very small in number, which we've got to build them up again. And I'm just giving notice. If this bill passed in the next, say, 48 to 72 hours, this is a clarion call. In fact, those of you need to be in line today. If you did fill out an application, call your bank and make sure they know that you're intending for them to process your application, for you not to have to get out of line, to let them give you the confirmation that you're in queue and you're in the same spot that you were before, which you should be moved up or be in a line that's not going to be behind those that all of a sudden decided they want to apply. We welcome everyone, but people who got cut off in the last couple of days when the portal was closed on the SBA, you need to call that bank. If that's where you're comfortable going, you need to call that bank and make sure you're in the queue, because these dollars are going to hit soon, because this is the week we've got to do that.
All right, Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, always a pleasure. Glad to have you on the show. We certainly appreciate all the work the CBC is doing to ensure that Black businesses are able to tap into these funds.
And Roland, don't forget testing. We're fighting for $25 billion in testing. We got to test, because we can't recover if we don't get tested and get our community tested.
Absolutely.
Please,
well,
go out and get tested.
Absolutely agree with that, of course. But then if you had any kind of leadership from the White House, you would actually have far more testing. Trump thinks everything is all fine. We were supposed to have 27 million tests at the end of March. They barely hit 4 million. But he's saying, oh, we did a great job. We're perfect. No.
Less than 1% of American people have been tested. And as you well know, this is devastating as it relates to death rates, the African-American community, Hispanic community, and communities of color. We've got to fight this fight, and we got to put on our boxing gloves. We need the community to stand with us, get tested, and let's get into those hot spots. That's what we're fighting for now.
All right, Congresswoman Jackson Lee, we appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
I want you to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Roland S. Martin. And don't forget to turn on your notifications.